Hello and welcome to the Part-Time Gamers, the gaming podcast for people with full-time lives. I'm Cyranex, clocking in with my good friend, That One Weirdo.
I'm so happy to be back. I am so sorry. I spent the last couple months inside of a van that said free candy, and then I went to the next one that said free candy. So over the past couple months, I was like 15 vans, but they let me go. And they didn't have no candy.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, just in general, white vans with any kind of sign on the side of them, probably shouldn't trust them. Yeah.
Now, if they
Yeah.
have a cool air version of like a Valkyrie with like a jetpack and a dragon, I will get in that son of a gun in a heartbeat. But no
Yeah, but
candy,
that's not a plain white van. That's actually a cool van.
Exactly. With the old bubble windows, which were kind of weird, it was like, why would you make a window that you couldn't see out of that was the shape of a spade, like on a playing card, and then all the girls would go and want to get in on that action. Yeah, those fans ain't got in. Not even a Butterfinger. You know what they didn't even have? You know those weird strawberry and butterscotch candies that Grandma always has, like in a dish? Yeah. But if they're in her pocket, they somehow got unwrapped but only have the wax paper, and she hasn't been touching them. My theory, it's the same Momo she's been wearing, and she keeps launching it, and she just never takes the candy out. They don't even have candy corn, and I hate that shit. Yeah. I'm pretty sure candy corn was served in, like, I don't know, the Bastille or Auschwitz. It's like, oh, you want to give this to people for money and think this is okay?
Yeah.
Well, Nobel Prize for you, pal.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of candy corn either. It's just like, no, it just tastes like it tastes like wax.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like black licorice. That's another one where I just go,
yeah, no.
Why?
Yeah.
Were you bored? Did you just get like flavors and go in a cauldron?
Yeah, the entire overarching concept of black licorice can die in a fire.
Yeah, and I love licorice. Actually, so Pride Festivals, as well as FanX, there's two women. They actually do homemade licorice that they make themselves, and they post up at all these places, and they are popular. For about a foot or so, it's like $6. They've got a couple of vegan options, but they make like old school licorice.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, like there'll be a panel for like somebody from like Sons of Anarchy. I'll be like, no, and they'll be like, hey, we've got new licorice flavors. I'm like, abaha. Yeah, that's why I go to famous. These celebrities, nah, screw them. These days, they all seem like the same 10 people with their shovel faces, their laminated eyebrows, and whatever. But you give me some licorice, I'm like, I'll see you there.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, glad to have you back. It's been a bit. If you were here for our pre-show or get to listen to our pre-show, we lamented about our current job situations. That was fun.
Coworkers are stinky.
Yeah. But we're going to do something a little bit different for today's episode. So let's go ahead and let's get to work.
Morning break is over. Morning break is over.
So last week we were talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. We had John Jagger on the show. Great guest. Glad to have him back. And we had a great conversation about, just the game in general. But it was more so a conversation about like I wanted to really delve into like what his opinion of the remake was based on the fact that he has played the original.
Okay.
I was interested in that because I played the remake, but I have not played the original.
Well, I have played the original. I'm here to help.
So okay, then we'll have a little bit of back and forth with that then.
Yes.
Yeah, like I explained that like my experience with Final Fantasy, the first Final Fantasy that I ever played was Final Fantasy X, which was on the PS2.
Mhm.
And my friends had played Final Fantasy 7, everything like that. So, and I watched some of them play it, and I was actually really put off of Final Fantasy 7 because of the ATB system, and because I had experienced the graphics of the PS2, and the graphics of the PS1 looked like garbage to me at the time. Uh, but like the story, the characters, the systems, and stuff like that they were talking about, I thought were really cool. I just didn't really. I wanted true turn based, and that I think was one of the big parts of it. Is like, what is its ATB system? Where's the turns? Stuff like that. That really put me off. But anyways, what we're going to be doing, like we talked a lot about the kind of a little bit more peripheral things about the game, our
Right.
experiences with it. There was a lot of details, there was a lot of depth that we just didn't reach during that
Right.
conversation. Um, so we're doing a follow-up episode for Final Fantasy VII Remake before we get to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth next week. We're going to try to get into a little bit more of that depth, a little bit more of the story, a little bit more of those aspects, because these are definitely things that are going to be important to talk the discussion about Final Fantasy Rebirth, because obviously it is a direct continuation of the events of this game. Uh,
Yes.
so, and also for anyone who is interested, uh, there is a very well done. Uh, there's a very well done recap video done by uh, GameSpot that it gives it's less than half an hour. It gives you basically the whole story of what's happened, the events that take place in Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think it's really well done, uh, and it doesn't really go a whole lot into the lore. It's mostly just focusing on the events of the game, which is kind of cool because there is a lot of lore that takes place
Oh yeah.
before the game starts and everything, which a lot of that is going to be explained and expanded upon in Rebirth. So that's going to be a really interesting discussion then. But we're going to be talking about just Remake so far, and we're not going to. This is going to be full spoilers. We're not going to be holding back any of the story elements or anything like that. We like that or anything like that. Oh, so like
Spoiler for Final Fantasy VII. There'll be a Final Fantasy VIII.
yeah, and
Ta-da!
9 and 10. Uh, although there's not a
Like I
Final Fantasy
said, the
7
Resident
2.
Evil. There's going to be another one.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah. Oh man. So this what's very what I think is very interesting about Final Fantasy the remake is it's titled Remake, which has a couple expectations to it and everything. Um, but by and large, the story does kind of stay in line with the original. But
Okay.
there's a very there's a very uh there's an in-game in-story reason why that is. Um, there are some there what they're doing with this trilogy, I think, is very interesting because they're starting off with the same kind of similar story, but they're altering certain things. They're opening up the opportunity for this to be a different story, and they're doing it very in very subtle ways at times, or actually not so subtle. Once we get into it, but there there's so it starts off very much the same way as the original. You start off with the Cloud, Barrett, and Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, and all these the members of Avalanche plus Cloud attacking one of the Shinra reactors. And Shinra is this corporate entity that is uh the main distributor of electrical power throughout a, a lot of the regions in this world. Uh, and they do that by using these massive reactors that are literally siphoning the life force away from the planet. So there's this whole thing called the life stream, and they're pulling Mako from the life stream and converting it into power and turning it into electricity. And it's literally killing the planet. It's the literal life force of the planet. And they're just siphoning it off for electricity. They're also the main governing body in the region. Uh, their main headquarters is in this big city called Midgar, and it is this massive disc-shaped city that's divided into 8 different sectors. Each sector has its own reactor, and I really like the concept of Midgar. I I was saying in the last episode that I really like mixing technology and magic together,
Hmm.
and this is very much one of those. They start with a technological world and add magic to it in the form
Yes.
of the materia and being able to cast spells and stuff like that through that. Uh, but the city itself is very interesting too because it's this massive city. The main city is on these giant plates. They're, I believe they say 300 meters above the ground. Oh, so it's this just this giant raised plate above the ground that has divided into these 8 different sectors, and below it is are the slums where they're on the ground level. They like if you're they barely get sunlight down there because the giant city above them is covers it up. So that's the setting for where we are at this point. It starts off with them attacking one of the avalanche, attacking one of the reactors. They end up getting in there, blowing it up. But Shinra, like the president of Shinra, is cognizant of Avalanche. He knows about them. So he actually purposely sabotages the reactor to make it explode much more, much more, uh, much bigger than it should have been. Oh,
Yeah.
in order to cause more mayhem, cause more damage, loss of life, and everything, and then blame it on Avalanche to make them look even more like the bad guy. Um, so they're able to successfully do that. They get out. Uh, in the process of trying to escape, uh, they get separated. They have to try to get back to the slums and everything. And this is where Cloud first meets Aerith. Uh,
Mm.
is this florist in the city, which is really weird for a florist to exist in a city that is literally destroying the planet. Uh,
That was the
uh,
growth industry.
yeah, yeah. But it is like that actually is a kind of a cool detail. We'll find out later on why that is. Uh, but this is where one of the first instances of the story being a little bit different. Something new is in this that is not in the original. It's these weird ghostly creatures that are encircling Aerith and seem to be attacking her. Although at first no one sees them. It's not until Aerith actually grabs Cloud's arm that then he's able to see them, but no one else on the street seems to react. Um, and so that happens. Cloud is able to now see these creatures, these entities, these apparent ghosts. Aerith leaves, and eventually Cloud is able to finally get back to the slums, where they meet up back at the bar that his childhood friend Tifa works at, named Seventh Heaven, because it's a bar in the slums of the Sector 7.
Right.
Uh, so they reconvene, try to figure out what's going on, what happened with the mission and everything, and Jesse comes to the conclusion that it must have been the blasting agent. Maybe it was too powerful. She used more than it was supposed to be, more than it was supposed to be used. She believes that the reason why the reactor blew up so as big as it did was because of the bomb that she made, which ends up not being true. But that's what she doesn't know that. So she goes on this little secret mission to her parents' place, which is actually on the plate. And in order to steal a card, an access card from her father, who is one of the workers at Shinra. It's actually like a maintenance worker for Shinra. Oh, gets a new blasting agent, all that. Oh, they like it's actually kind of a cool sequence. One of the advantages of the plate being 300 meters above the slums is the way they get back to the slums is
Mhm.
they find parachutes and literally just base jump back into the slums. Which
Ah,
I
we all
think
been
is actually,
there.
yeah, I think it was really kind of cool. Um, but they get the new blasting agent, and, get ready for because they're getting ready for the next mission, which is to attack another
Right.
one of the reactors, which is supposed to be the next day. So, but during the night before that mission, uh, while everyone is asleep, Tifa wakes Cloud up, gets him out there, and the entire the entire area that around Seventh Heaven seems to be under attack by these ghostly creatures again. So, but this time now Cloud, Tifa, Barrett, Jesse, a bunch of these people actually can see them, and Cloud and Tifa have to make their way to Jesse and Barrett at Seventh Heaven. In the process, Jesse gets knocked down gets knocked down some stairs and sprains her ankle and isn't able to walk on it anymore.
Right.
And as soon as that happens, strangely enough, as soon as that happens, all of these creatures just leave. Oh, and so it was originally planned for Jesse to go on the mission, but now that she's injured, Cloud has to go on the mission. So the next day they go on this mission. They attack the reactor, all successfully again. But in the process of leaving, they're attacked by this new weapon called the Airbuster. It separates the party. Cloud actually gets like thrown off the plate, ends up falling into the slums, somehow survives, lands inside this church, in the slums, and that's where he meets Aerith again. That's where she grows her flowers, is in this abandoned church. So they meet Aerith again. Eventually she leads him to her mother's house, in the slums there. And the next day he goes to leave. Aerith ends up following him, and they go off towards another one of the sectors. I think they were trying to get back to Sector 7. I think they're in Sector 6. He's trying to get back to Sector 7. And before they get to the secret tunnel to take him into Sector 7, the doors between the sectors opens up, and this caravan comes through. This chocobo and a wagon come through, and they notice inside the cart or whatever is Tifa.
Mhm.
So they follow her, she's heading towards Wall Market, which is this big, uh, perhaps less than legal, uh, kind of almost like black market area in Sector 6 slums.
It's what some would call iffy.
Yeah. It's one of those situations where it's like, you don't look at us, we don't look at you type situations. Where it's like
Yeah.
they just
Just
kind
look
of,
down at the counter. Oh, here's the money. Oh, here's the stuff.
yeah,
Nice doing business with you.
yeah. But the reason Tifa is going there is because she wants to. She's entering this pageant in order to get close to this guy named Don Corneo. I believe to get more information from him. To figure out more, just get more information from him. Cloud and Aerith end up following her. They're able to get into the pageant as well, and eventually all three of them. Which, yes, during this sequence, the fact that Cloud looks somewhat effeminate is a benefit. 'Cause with a little bit of makeup, some hair extensions, and a good dress, they were able to convince everyone that he was a woman, and he was able to enter the pageant as well. But eventually, all three of them meet with Corneo, and this is when they discover Shinra's next plan, the next step in their plan. So the reactor explosion, they made it bigger in order to blame that on Avalanche, really start to make Avalanche look bad, try to change public opinion. They escalate even further. Their next plan is to actually drop the entire Sector 7 plate.
Oh.
So imagine just we're talking about a plate the size of a small city. And they're just planning on dropping it on the slums below.
Oopsie.
Yeah. and blaming that on Avalanche. Um, that is like this is one of the first occasions in this game where it's like you really start to realize the stakes are really getting high. Because
Yes.
this isn't just like, oh, there was a maybe a couple dozen people injured, maybe however many killed. They're planning on killing like thousands of people. Not
Yeah.
just under the plate, but on the plate too. They're willing to just sacrifice all of these people uh to blame Avalanche and try to try to get more of a favorable opinion of themselves. Uh it's really one of those situations. There's one of the first situations and it's like, wow, this is really impactful. Um but yeah, they figure out the plan. Corneo betrays them, drops them into the sewers, and so that they can't get word to their friends in Sector 7, say, hey, this they're about to drop the plate. You need to get everyone out of there. Uh and it's like and try to fight them. And they have to go through the sewers. They go through this notoriously haunted train yard, and they're actually able to find, like, listen to the Turks, find, like, confirm that they're attacking the Sector 7 plate, which for whatever reason has controls to just drop a plate uh on the pillar. Uh
Well, who doesn't?
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's I mean, just to further prove that Shinra is, are not the good guys. Uh
I
they
feel like they
they
don't
have
just
this
drop it.
function
Like
built
it's
in.
just a giant trap that goes and just knocks it off.
Yeah. Ugh. But yeah, they eventually they're able to they find out this plan. The In the process, Aerith goes into the slums and is specifically trying to get Barrett's daughter Marlene, uh, who will be a much more important character in Rebirth, uh, for story reasons, whatnot. But she's trying to save Marlene. While she is there, there's a certain organization within the Shinra army called the Turks. They're like the elite soldiers, like special forces type. Like so much so to the point where they just wear suits. They don't wear like armor or have any weapons a whole lot or anything like that. Uh, the leader of the Turks, name is Sang, uh, approaches Aerith, says, "Okay, either you come with us, or we'll kill Marlene."
Well,
So yeah, so Aerith, you find out later she did in fact go with them. She is captured, uh, but this is all in the process of everyone else going up the Sector 7 pillar to try to stop them from dropping the plate. Uh, this is also another instance where they show these ghostly creatures again, and those creatures prevent Cloud, Barrett, and Tifa. They prevent them from preventing the Turks from dropping the plate. So they actually do successfully drop the Sector 7 plate onto the slums. Oh, this is like the first instance again where it's like, how you felt at the end of Infinity War when
yes.
Thanos successfully
It's a good.
snaps?
Yeah.
It kind of gave me that feeling during this moment, because it's like this is a massive loss on their
Yes.
part. Uh, they're able to successfully escape before the plate drops, so they
Right.
survive, but they don't know who else survived underneath. Oh, they hope that Marlene got out of there. They hope that Aerith wasn't in there. They hope people were able to get out of there in time. Uh, they but they don't know at the time. So they eventually, they go back in there, try to find, like, figure out what they can do. They go back to they do they find some people who survived, and they are told that Aerith was able to get Marlene out, that Marlene is at Aerith's house in Sector 6. So they make their way back there, they find Marlene, but that's when they find out that Aerith was captured in the process. Uh, so they try to come up with a plan to get topside, to get back up to the plate in order to get to the Shinra headquarters, save Aerith, go from there. Which brings them back to Corneo because the all of the trains, all like the city is on lockdown. There's no like official way that they could get back up to back topside. So they have to go through Corneo again. Uh, and that doesn't end up going well either. Uh, they go back to him. They find out that his mansion has been ransacked, but they find one of his it's supposed to be one of his kind of lackeys or whatnot, who they find out was the only reason he was even working for Corneo is because he was trying to find what happened to his fiance, and it led him to Corneo. Uh, he wants to kill him just as much as they do. Uh, they go back to the sewers, find Corneo and everything like that, and Corneo explains the plan uh, that Shinra is actually entirely planning to ditch Midgar entirely and try to
Okay.
find this mysterious promised land uh, that is supposedly has this infinite source of Mako that they can siphon away and get even more from that. Uh, so they end up he and Corneo ends up getting away because they get attacked by a creature named Abzu. But in the process, the lackey uh, gives them these grappling hooks. That's how they're able to get topside again. Is they actually like grapple up the dis- destroyed rubble of Sector 7 to finally get back up to back topside. They're able to infiltrate Shinra headquarters in the middle of the city. Uh, in the process of infiltrating Shinra headquarters, they finally find Aerith. They rescue her. They find out this other creature who looks kind of like a dog, but he's able to talk. His name goes by Red 13. You find out that he was an experiment from the uh, Shinra scientist named Hojo, uh, and that all of the creatures that they've been fighting up until this point were experiments from Hojo, and they were experiments in like this is where there's a lot of explanation about like what's kind of going on uh beyond like what are Shinra's motivations, why they're doing the things that they're doing, that kind of stuff. You discover that Aerith is not actually human. They've been referring to her as an ancient, uh which is a race of they're a race of beings that well, they were the first race of beings on the planet, and they have a very close tie to nature, to the life stream. They lived in harmony with the planet itself until humans arrived, and then of course, as humans do, they destroyed everything and killed basically all of the ancients. Um, well, actually, there's a little bit more lore behind that, like the fall of the ancients, but uh, the name of the ancients is actually the Cetra, is what their official name is, and Aerith is the last of the Cetra. Her and her mother were the last, and her mother passed away years ago. Her current mother is actually her adoptive mother. Uh, but Shinra believes that Aerith, being an ancient or being a Cetra, is able to lead them to this promised land, which is why they were motivated to capture her. Uh, the thing is, she has no idea. Has literally no idea where the promised land is, and anything like that. But so that's really the story of Aerith, like her origins, and you also discover through Red 13 somehow, which is explained later, I think in Rebirth. Uh, Red 13 knows about the origin of those creatures, which are called whispers. So The whispers in Final Fantasy Remake are kind of like the TVA. Uh, they are these entities that are intent on preserving the like the canon timeline.
Mhm.
So the events where they show up in the game, in the remake, are events that are on the verge of being different from the original story. So, like I mentioned, uh, when Jessie hurt her ankle and was not able to go on the mission, that's when the Whispers left. Because if they hadn't done that, Jessie would have gone on the mission, not Cloud, which is different from what the original game had. In the original, Jessie didn't go on the mission, Cloud did. So in order to preserve that, Jessie had to be injured and unable to go on the mission. Uh, they were prevented from preventing the drop of the Sector 7 plate because that's what happened in the original. So all of these events, whenever you see these whispers or show up in the game, uh, it's because they're trying to preserve the original story, and they're on the verge of departing from that timeline.
Right.
So it's really interesting once you learn that. Uh, there's a series of words that I like that I in order to describe where I think like this whole like multiple timeline theory goes.
Mhm.
In remake, it's implication. They're implying that there's a possibility of multiple timelines, but it's just implication. There's no like there's not really a whole lot of facts behind it. There's still a lot of, you know,
Right.
it's not for sure. In rebirth, it's confirmation. It's like they know that there's multiple timelines. They show in the game multiple timelines. The events can be different. Uh, and even though a lot of the events in Rebirth still go along the lines of the original, there are some pretty major. There's a lot more differences than there are in Remake. And then so that's confirmation. I'm hoping uh in Revelation that it's application. It's like
Right.
now that they know that this is what's happening, now that they know that this is a possibility, now that they know that they can do these things, that the third game they just go kind of nuts and like completely break the timeline. That's what I'm hoping. What that's what we'll see next year when that comes out. Um, so we now have the origin of Aerith. We now have the origin of the purpose of the Whispers, like what they're doing. This is also where we discover this mysterious, almost looks like a corpse, just connected to
Mhm.
tubes and such, called Genova. And we find out that all of the experiments that Hojo has been doing has been him integrating Genova cells into different creatures. Uh, we don't know a whole lot about Genova. They think, I don't know if it's explained in this or if it's on some other. It might be in Rebirth. It might be something else. I don't remember what the source was, but they believe that Genova is also an ancient, which is why they were trying to create an ancient human hybrid in order to have
Mhm.
them lead them to the promised land. Uh, but Genova is not an ancient. You find that out uh, later on. Uh, and yeah, but they yeah. Okay, where am I going? Trying to put the drunken clown of unicycle of thought back on track. Um, so they find out about Genova. They find out about Hojo's experiments. Uh, they they have an encounter with Sephiroth, who's also been kind of a hallucinatory entity to Cloud.
Right.
He's Cloud is ever so often you'll see him, seemingly get a headache, and he'll hallucinate. He'll see Sephiroth, he'll see burning buildings, he'll see all these different things, uh, which that's that's definitely one of those if you know type things, like why this is happening. But if you're completely fresh to the story, it's a big mystery at this point, like what exactly is going on, and it's really cool to find out is what actually is happening, like find out the
Right.
actual story of Cloud, um, how he's actually part of the world. I think it's really cool later on when they get to that. But they make their way back to Genova's cell. She's not there anymore. They follow this like line of like purple goo and find out
Mhm.
that Sephiroth has broken her out of there and is taking her away. Uh, you find a little bit of a preview into Rebirth. The reason he's doing this is because he believes that Genova is his mother. Oh, so he's trying to. He believes Genova is his mother. That he is like this like perfect hybrid of human and ancient. Basically believes he's superior to other people, and goes on this whole gets this whole god complex, and is like the reason why he's doing all of this is because he wants
Mhm.
to basically become God. That's that's what it comes down to. Is he wants to
I mean,
become God.
obviously.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, he ends up uh killing the Shinra president, and also in the process kills Barrett. Now, this is another instance where the whispers come back, because obviously Barrett is supposed to survive this. So the whispers actually come back and resurrect Barrett, basically, prevent him from
Right.
being killed. Um, so Sephiroth leaves with Genova. You encounter the Shinra's new president, the former president's son, is going to be taking over, obviously, because the president's dead now. Uh, they have encounter with him. Eventually, uh, Cloud, uh, Cloud, Aerith, Tifa, Barrett, and Red 13 in tow are able to escape the headquarters, and they make their way to the end, like the edge of the city. Uh,
Right.
but before they leave the city, uh, they have this like this encounter with the whispers again, and in the process have these visions of what of possible futures, of possibilities, of things that might happen. And after that, they actually encounter like a physical embodiment of fate. And like by fighting this embodiment of fate, they are able to untether themselves from the timeline. Which means from that point on, things can be different. They're not the whispers are no longer going to be influencing their actions. It's no longer going to be influencing their world. Um, they end up beating this embodiment of fate, untether themselves. They fight Sephiroth, of course, because you have to. And this is when Sephiroth kind of explains his whole plan of that they get a vision of the meteor spell, which they don't know it's that at that time, but that's what it is. It's Sephiroth is basically summoning. His whole plan is to get this massively damaging spell. It's like weapon of mass destruction level spell, in order to damage the planet enough that it basically exposes the life stream so that he can absorb it and become a god.
Right.
Uh, they end up defeating Sephiroth at this point and are again untethered from fate. And they leave Midgar. That is where Remake ends. Um, Now, I think it's kind of funny in the grand scheme of things that this, like in the original game, this is not that long.
Right.
Well, it's like it's like in the original game. There's a lot of stuff that happens once you're out of Midgar. Like there's a whole lot of game after that.
Oh yes.
Oh, which oh man, it's gonna be interesting to see where they go from that. Oh, or where they go from. I'm really eager to talk about the story of Rebirth because
Right.
like the stuff that they did in Remake, like those big moments of like them dropping the plate of the like discovering like the depths of Earth, because like there's parts that they get into later on where the whispers are actually like stealing memories
Right.
whenever they affect Aerith, they steal memories from her. Because she's like especially early on, she has this foreknowledge of events that haven't happened yet in this timeline specifically. Uh, but like she there's section parts where she alludes that she knows things that she shouldn't know at, but gradually the whispers are taking those memories away. And you find out pretty early on in Rebirth that she no longer has this knowledge of what's going to happen.
Right.
Like the whispers have affected her so much that like they've taken all of those memories away. Um, but another kind of key point and like another implication that uh, another implication of the multiple timelines is they show the they show what should have been the last moments of another character named Zach Fair,
Mhm.
uh, who is so Cloud is saying that oh he's a soldier, and I really hate the fact that they used that specific word because it is so
Right.
generic.
Oh yes.
And it's like okay, so like okay, so you have to talk to like the people that you would consider a Shinra soldier, like the normal dudes with the three headlights on their
Right.
helmets. It's like you got to try to figure out a different word for them because they're not soldiers. They're like there's soldier the noun and soldier the title, basically.
They're operatives.
Yeah, basically that's probably a better term for them. But Cloud keeps on saying that he's an ex-soldier, that he's soldier title, and you get this like as they're leaving Midgar, you see this character with spiky black hair carrying
Mhm.
Cloud on it, like unconscious Cloud on his shoulder, trying to drag him in towards Midgar. And I'm trying to remember if they actually show it in at the end of Remake. And I don't know if they show it at the end of Remake or if they show it at the beginning of Rebirth. But for those who know, for those who have played the prequel game, I believe is Ever Crisis or Crisis Core. That's what it is.
Right.
They have a remake, Crisis Core Reunion, which is why they didn't call the third game Reunion, instead made it Revelation, because they already had a game named Reunion. Uh, you find out the events of Zack. Uh, you find out. You can actually find out like the origins of Zack and Cloud if you play Crisis Core. Uh,
Mhm.
you do find out more about that in Rebirth and later on as well, like what actually happened between them. But all that to say, Zack was supposed to have died before reaching Midgar. But because they have basically broken fate and have untethered themselves from fate, this is where the implication of multiple timelines comes up because Zack lives. Uh, and that has a lot of implications, especially in Rebirth. Uh, so I think it's interesting how they they still kept to more or less to the original, from what I'm aware of, uh, but have put in those seeds that have opened up the possibility for it to be different. Um, so again, this is in remake, it's implication. In once we get to rebirth, it's confirmation. Um, and I think it's a really good lead up to rebirth. Oh man,
It's
if
gonna
you
be something.
think yeah, if you think things got nutty in remake, just wait till we get to rebirth. It,
I remember I have such memories, especially by way of my son. See, he should be on these particular episodes because one, I mean, he knows more about that than he does all his studies going to like not just high school but college. But if
yeah.
you want a 7.5 hour episode, he's your guy.
Oh,
Um,
like there's I've been trying to find there is this one guy who has done like some really ridiculously in-depth analysis videos of remake and rebirth. I think his one for remake is 3.5 hours long. The one that he made for
jeez.
rebirth is 9 hours long.
Oh,
And he goes super in depth. And it's like it's actually really
so,
fascinating watching his analysis.
so 9 hours, one extended Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's I actually did start watching that 9 hour video, and like I got up to like what would be like the fourth chapter in the game or something like that. Out of
Right.
like 14 going through the
Jeez.
story, and he does like super in-depth analysis, not even just of like what the events that happen in the in rebirth, but also like he like the first 45 minutes of the video is going through like just the background lore of how they got to this point.
Jeez.
Oh,
Oh
so that's where
God.
you find out about like the origins of Genova, how you find out about
Right.
you find out all these different things about the past leading up to before even the first game. And then like he'll go in depth, and he's talking about not just the events that are on the in the game itself, but he's talking about like the blocking of the characters and how that affects the cinematography of the scene, and how the importance of that. Like there's a conversation between Tifa and Cloud, where Tifa starts off on the far side of the room, and then as like she gets more like into more personal questions, she steps closer in order to like close the make the the questions more personal with Cloud, and like goes super in depth like that. It's really fascinating. I'm only like
Right.
maybe 2 hours into it. uh I actually kind of watched all of it. It is really cool analysis of it.
I should see if it's my son because it sounds like something he would do. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, for him, as far as like him being big into gaming, I mean, dad was growing up, and then as he was growing up, we were both. But at one point, he kind of took the mantle and ran with it a little more. But Final Fantasy VII, I mean, he'd be the first to tell you as far as like the games that help shape why he's a gamer and what he
Yeah.
loves about it. I'd say that's somewhere in like the top five
Yeah.
because I remember the length. And I do mean the length to which this child would play that game.
Yeah.
So much so where we actually had an instance, we thought like he had left the house. We were overseas. And for about 30 minutes, we went looking for him. Like, we just didn't bother to like look in his room
Yeah.
because we could have sworn it was like, well, all the other kids are outside. He's got to be playing too. He was not. We open the door and he's there and we're freaking out. And, you know, he's like, what? And I'm like, how dare you be exactly where you're supposed to be, safe and sound?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? Some scissors, go running.
Yeah. But it is really interesting, and like oh, now that I'm playing through the remake, oh, like John brought it up that like now that I'm going through the remake, it's almost a disservice not to go back and play the original. And I think the problems that I had with the original I can get past now. Oh, there's you can do mods and stuff like and like make the graphics better. You know, the ATB
Right.
system is not as jarring as I originally took it as. Especially now that I'm playing, like, okay, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a complete, you know, action game. You know, it's real time action, and, you know, stuff like that. So I think I could go back and actually play through the original just to get like a reference of the differences in the story and stuff like that. Because from what I've heard, like the section of the story that Rebirth takes place in
Mhm.
is like significantly smaller, like significantly less extensive in the original than they make it into Rebirth, because you know Rebirth is full ass game that they had to
Right.
try to build into, and it's like in the original it's not nearly that long, that whole segment, and there's certain parts of it. Well, I shouldn't be talking about Rebirth. We're going to be talking about that next week, and I
We'll
am
get
in.
there.
Yeah, we'll get there, and I am in talks with John. May or may not be able to get him back on the show for it. We'll see. Can't get any can't make any guarantees yet, but I am talking with him. I would love to have him back on the show and talk about Rebirth. Because there's if you think like when I described that moment with the plate dropping and like being the Thanos snap, oh, there's so much more in Rebirth. Uh, Again, it's one of those if you know you know types type things. Oh, yeah. I just want
I have a
again.
question.
What's that?
So with the Turks, did somebody ask them why Constantinople got the works? Sorry.
Strangely, that didn't
I'm
come up.
back, everybody.
Uh,
I'm back.
no, it's kind of
That was just
funny. It's kind of funny. Like with the whole Final Fantasy VII thing with my friends. Because my best friend and his you know his brothers and his family, their last name is Turk. So
oh shoot.
yeah, so it was kind of a like a whole running joke with them, with the Turks in Final Fantasy VII and their last names being the Turks. So
That was
it's
just too easy. And
yeah.
I'm a big They Might Be Giants fan.
Yeah.
You know, because I own a collection of pocket protectors because I'm supposed to, because I'm a They Might Be Giants fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was Tyler's like big. I mean, there's a few other games in there, of course, but like the game that he had probably his, Arthur to Excalibur moment.
Yeah.
What was this? And it was because, especially for its time, it was so expensive,
Yeah.
and everything was done to such a sharp degree. I mean, you look back. I mean, even if you play the original now, you sit there and you go, we were kind of spoiled. I mean, yeah, we got it good now, but
Yeah.
like then, I mean, there were some games of its time where we understood why they took so long and why they were crafted in such a way, because it was a case of, yeah, we're not just, we're not doing Resident Evil 6. We're doing a thing for you. But that was very much, and he was like, especially of that time, that was just something where it just blew him away, and he was big
Yeah.
into the lore, as far as like, I mean, he had figures and like, some of the merch, if you will, so much so that, God, these were expensive. He probably doesn't have them anymore, but he had CDs imported from Japan of the soundtracks. Now, keep in mind, we had already left Japan, and I'm like, you know how much I could have saved on shipping and handling?
Yeah.
Like, why would you just pay for yourself? You know what German shipping and handling is? It's a lot. They're paying us back for WW2.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, that's
But
another
yeah,
thing that
for
we haven't
him,
talked about was the
sorry,
soundtrack.
no, for him, so big.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have to have him chime in one of these days. Like I said, if you're ready for a 9-hour episode, he's your guy.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's another reason why I wanted to talk to John, because he's
Yeah.
played through Remake, he's played through the original. I think he's been saying that he hasn't completed Rebirth. So that might be interesting if we are able to get him on for Rebirth, and like because he hasn't completed it all the way. But yeah, because this is definitely a game I could nerd out about for a while.
Oh yes,
I
it's so
mean,
extensive, so well done.
oh yeah. I mean, again, never having not experienced the original, just playing through the remake so far. It's very. I love the story. I love the characters.
Yeah.
I love, the systems. There's so much. There's so much nuance to the characters, and they get even more so into that in Rebirth. Uh, like even with like Barrett, he always has to have this. He comes off at first as this very abrasive, very direct leader kind. Like I have to be the tough guy, you know, like seems to be like on the verge of beating everyone down at a moment's notice. And until he gets done with the mission, he's like, okay, I need to go back and see my daughter. I need like,
Yeah.
and he's like the most uh protective and like honorable family man you'll ever meet. Incredibly protective of his daughter, incredibly loving of her and everything. And it's like it just shows you that there's so much depth to all of the characters. There's so much hurt, so much
Mm-hmm.
unresolved pain, so much there's just so much beyond what you see at first with these characters. And there's so much more even just to the greater story. Because at first it's like, oh, it's eco terrorists. They're trying to save the planet, and it's like, no, it goes far beyond that. I mean, yeah, that might be the genesis of the game. It might be still like a core theme of the game, but it goes well beyond that as you
There's
go.
so much more.
Yeah, and I just find it's so impressive. It really is. But yeah, I believe that'll be uh the end of that discussion for now. Until we get
Yeah.
to Rebirth next week.
I'm excited to check it out more. I know my son has probably played. I mean, he's got more invested in Final Fantasy as a whole than he probably has in his savings account, and probably because of Final Fantasy is why that's the case.
Probably. Yeah. Oh,
but he could be doing worse things. He could be playing,
yeah,
something
could
for
be
movie
drugs.
stuff. So. Oh no. The drugs are fine. Just stay away from movie stuff.
Yeah, at this point, the drugs are probably cheaper.
On top of that, they're properly sourced. It's not, AI or whatever this stuff that Ubisoft now uses. Don't go to the wrong street corner. Don't get seeds. Dad will help you out with that. That's what a father does. He lets out.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Come back next week when we start our discussion. Again, I'm planning on doing another 2-episode kind of, maybe systems, our feelings about the show or about the game. Like I said, Rebirth has even more than Remake does in it, with the nuance and depth to it. So we're going to be doing another 2-parter for Rebirth. So we'll starting that next week. We'll have a follow-up the following week. Anyways, everyone, thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard and would like to help us out, a few ways you can do that are by giving us a review over on Apple Podcast. You can follow my Twitch channel for our live recordings starting Sunday nights at 9:15 Eastern Time for our pre-show. The show proper starts at 9:30. Or you can follow my YouTube channel for the VODs that come up right after we're done recording. Or you can leave us a tip over on our Ko-fi. If you'd like to contact us, you can with our email, parttimegamers.cast@gmail.com, or you can join our Discord channel. You can find this show and links to everything around it using the link bit.ly/CI Productions. I'm also putting it in our chat right now. You can find Ember's work over at 9of12.com, NINEOF12.com. You can find all of her work there. Theo, where can people find you around the internet?
Did you want Terminators? Because that's how you. Oh, sorry, wrong line, wrong playing. No, see, I am back. No, I'm happy to be getting back into it. I've still got old episodes of the video station on Spotify. It's so great to be back. It's nice to finally get that toe back in the water and start back up. And my boss has now decided to give me days off. So,
Oh, that's nice.
it is. I thought that was part of the job description at first, and they were like, "Did we put that on there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess you did."
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to do that, right?
Yeah. All right. But yeah, until next week, talking about Rebirth, we are the part-time gamers clocking out.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.